D Podesta terminated, yes or no?
Yes.
Yep.
We need a new attitude. I don't want Watson stink.
Cleveland faithful, welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. I have two special guests here with me today. Two right next to me, Mr. Robert Valore, right below me, Mr. Andy Billman, the gentleman over from Chalk Talk, the Chalk Talk podcast and sports YouTube channel. All their links are going to be in the description down below. Make sure you go over there, subscribe. Make sure you watch all their content too. Passionate Cleveland sports fans who are enriching the community through analysis, through advanced analytics,
Yes.
and just having fun.
Yes.
Guys being dudes is what I like to call it.
Guys
being dudes. We're talking Browns today. I know, the talk of the town. They just beat the Steelers. We have 6 games left, gentlemen. Let me rattle them off very quickly, then I'm going to open the floor to you.
Mm-hmm.
Broncos, Steelers, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens.
Cakewalk.
Andy, let's start with you. What is our 6-game record after those 6 weeks?
1-5.
What game are we gonna win?
They're gonna beat the Fins because they don't play well in frozen conditions. Look, that was a 1-game winner. I love that. If they were ever to win in Denver, I would fucking faint. They never win in Denver. They never. They just don't. I think the Steelers is a revenge game. Kansas City, sorry. Bengals, sorry. Fish, yeah, I can see that. I think that's a given. And the Ravens need that game now. So 1-5.
Robert, let me parlay this over to you. So last 6 games, it's a week-to-week league for multiple reasons. For the top of the top, and also if you're looking at the 2025 NFL draft order, because a week ago we were what, the 2nd or 3rd pick on the hierarchy. Right now, as it stands, we are the 8th overall pick with a 3-8 record. Same question to you, and let's just open it up to the floor here. Moving forward, what's the future of this team? What's the future of this franchise as far as the draft, everything?
Okay. Well, first of all, 1-5. I think I don't know where he went to lunch today. I think he may have been on the bubbly, but I think 3-3 is.
Mr. Predictor, where's their wins?
Okay.
This is Andy. This is the same guy who said 2-15, never again.
Okay. But listen,
it's Thanksgiving, happy juice.
Although all time we're 24-7, or the Broncos are 24-7 against us. So that's a tough game.
Startling.
Right? That's a tough game. That is startling. I could see us beating the Bengals. I could see us somehow beating the Ravens again. I'm telling you, because no, but hear me out. What are the Ravens going to be playing for the last game of the year?
Actually, I think a playoff spot.
I think it's going to be said and done.
The one seed? Maybe the 1 seed.
Oh, possibly. If they're playing for the 1 seed, then I may be in trouble there.
I think the Steelers and Ravens are going to be right there at the end of the season. I just do.
That's true as well.
I don't think it's going to be a given they're going to win that division.
So, and I agree with my partner down there. If it's cold, I don't know what the hell Tua is going to do. The Fish they're going to be frozen, and that's going to be tough. That's
our homecoming game. That's going to be fun.
But going forward, I think what we need to do is we need to see. We have seen so far, Jameis could be a guy that really galvanizes this team, because Thursday night, the effort we saw, the way he rallied the troops, the way he talks, I mean, everybody loves him. If Jameis goes out, and if we stop talking about where everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for him to throw 7 interceptions, okay? Mm-hmm. If Jameis can just manage himself and play these next, I'm telling you, these next 6 games, if we don't go 0-6 and Jameis doesn't throw 20 interceptions, I think if you can get him at an affordable contract, he should be the guy next year. But what's affordable? 15? I mean, is he worth 20? Are you going to give him 25 mil? I don't know. You're not going to give him 25. What does
No,
Baker
no.
make? What are they paying Baker?
Same amount. No, well, but
You're
I
not
mean,
going to give him that.
I get what you're saying though, because you have to shift the expectations. Because you're assuming that he's going to be he's a starting quarterback caliber next year. This year you have him on a backup salary. I don't even know how much money he's making this year. $5 million.
$4 million.
But I mean,
million.
even some of the more lucrative backup quarterback numbers that the Browns have seen over the year. I mean, think about that one year with Case Keenum where he was making like $6 or $7 or $8 million. It's interesting. I don't know. Are you going to give him a double digit number next year for a salary? Are you willing to pay him $10 million to be a bridge quarterback? Andy, I see you shaking your head. Another week of college football data in your mind. How do you see this quarterback situation shaping up for the Browns in 2025? We know the rest of this year is going to be Jameis unless some happenstance or some bizarre circumstance occurs. But as far as next year in 2025, where's your head at right now?
Well, I would say this. I think you got let's add in the Chubb factor. Is Chubb coming back? Is Chubb gone? Chubb's not going to be cheap either. There's going to be some sentiment there. You also have the factor that we talked about in Chalk Talk. You have two guards that are really highly paid.
Mm-hmm.
You also have a right tackle. Conklin's earned his keep, and I've been told you can't do anything about it as he get dinged with salary cap, so he's not going anywhere. Jed Wills, he gone. So you're gonna have Jones at left tackle. So I think you gotta watch the guards and Chubb. I think that's gonna actually answer the Winston question. When it comes to college football, and I'm gonna actually start hyping this more. I think I can feel it. I can feel it. You want to change narrative? You want to change narrative right now?
Yes.
Rob knows where I'm going. You call Boulder, Colorado when you make a quick truck stop over in Boulder. You go, hey, Coach Prime, come on. We're gonna bring you home. We're gonna have Coach Prime as head coach. And I'm telling you,
I totally agree. I don't agree.
You guys are both nuts. You guys are both out of your mind.
Let Mr. Billman finish.
Go ahead and speak. I apologize. Go ahead and speak. Jesus Christ.
I will pass you back to Turkey Boulder in a second. But I think if you want to change this whole narrative in this town, and I'm going to tell you, I think this is we're not asking the right questions. The Haslams want to change the narrative. Well, we don't know. Because if they go 3-3, I think a lot of the status is quo. If they do go 1-5, I do see a cleaning of the house. And I do see a new coach. And I do see some new things. And again, I'm talking about narratives, which the Haslams seem to be about, which is interesting to me. It's like, you really want to not talk about Watson? You bring in Coach Prime. You bring in a son of the draft. All of a sudden, no one's talking about Watson. And all of a sudden, and I think, and I do.
That's an interesting point.
And I do think Deion Sanders can coach. I really do. And listening to other people on the East Coast, again, if people want to say he will drive you crazy, well, that's different. I'm talking about just X's and O's. I think the guy can coach. And looking at that game against Kansas, which I watched. Oh, that was the other game, Rob. I bet on Colorado. But anyways, you can tell I'm on the Coach Prime train. Right. But all that to be said, I do think that's something that's possible here if it goes 1-5. But to your question, Jeffrey, it's about results. 3-3, I don't know if much changes. I think Winston probably does come back. I think all of a sudden Stefanski's back. I think all of a sudden all these different things kind of come together. I'll say, there's a lot of a play of we don't know. The only thing I do know, and this is something I don't think there's much banter, I don't want Deshaun Watson back here. I think for his own mental health, he needs to go. He's not well-liked for multiple reasons. On the field and off the field, horrific behavior. Time to go. Time to go.
This is going to be a hot take, but I think Deshaun Watson is closer to NFL retirement than a lot of people want to give a credit for. Robert.
Okay. Deshaun is not – he's not coming back here. Deshaun, I agree with you, Jeffrey. He's not – he's through. Definitely in Cleveland.
You think 100% though he's done. He's never taken another snap.
No, he's not taking a snap here in Cleveland.
I don't know.
Coach Prime. He is going to listen. Jerry Jones is going to back the Brinks truck up to Colorado.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He cannot. Jerry Jones doesn't. This is where I have to agree with you and pause you because Jerry Jones does not want a personality in the building bigger than him.
That's right.
Then what makes you guys think? Okay, so here's to prove my point. Then what makes you think Jimmy Haslam is going to do the same thing.
Because his track record, the Haslam's track record, actually speaks to this. This started as like some satirical, like comedy bit a couple of weeks ago. And the more I watch the college football season progress and the more I watch our season progress, it is a low likelihood. I will preface, let's be clear, it's a low likelihood. But is there some sort of backroom discussion where the Haslams are sitting there thinking the same people who drafted Johnny Manziel, the same people who gave, Deshaun Watson guaranteed money after this, Uncle, I love you to death. This would be like low on the batshit crazy list of the Haslam's things that they've done.
Okay.
Fire Stefanski, bring in Coach Prime, and draft Shador. Because here's my thing, though. Here's what's going to happen. Let's throw all the antics out for one quick second, and then we'll reel it back in for you. But what's going to happen is, and I think Andy's onto something here. We're going to go 2-4 or 3-3, however we finish this season. You don't want to reach to draft the starting quarterback this year in the early rounds. I think that this is something you've even said, Robert.
No, right.
Next year, by the hands, grace of God or something, we'll have 8 or 9 wins, and we won't be in a position to draft somebody next year. This is how this franchise rolls. And then they're going to want to trade up in 26 and this and that. And we're giving up more capital for a starting quarterback. We saw how that worked the last time we did that, 3 first rounders and all the money. But, I don't see an in-between here. Are we going to be – that's my thing. I don't like any of these college guys either, to go back to the original point. I'm not in love with Milroe. I think Cam Ward does some stupid shit in the pocket. That's pretty much it besides Sanders.
Okay,
but if you don't draft someone this year and you have 8 or 9 wins the next year, Stefanski has a bounce back year and you're sitting in the mid-teens of the first round, what do you do?
Okay, hold on. Let me stop you right here. Coach, I agree with you guys with Coach Prime, X's and O's. I think he is a good coach when you unpack all of
I don't even like him. I don't even like that scenario. I'm just telling you it's plausible. I don't even want Coach Prime.
But if you guys, when you look at it, do you guys genuinely think that Shador Sanders' game is going to translate to the NFL?
I do.
How long he stands in the pocket, the way he holds the ball, I just don't know if his game is going to translate in the NFL. Andy, I
don't think either of those guys' games are going to translate to the NFL, and I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that. Unless Travis Hunter defines a role, I think that is not that he's going to be a bust or a below average NFL player, but there's no Otanis in the NFL.
Who's the last guy to do that successfully in the NFL? They're going to kill him.
I mean, think about it, though. Even people who are multifaceted, the best player in the league that is multifaceted in the NFL is Taysom Hill. The best player is multifaceted in the sport of like baseball and even other sports. You have two-way players in basketball. It's a little bit different. You have to play both sides. But it's like Ohtani, MVP candidate, Cy Young, candidate every single year he's going to be, unless something colossal happens. Go ahead, Andy.
I think Hunter's a stud. I really do.
But where you play, if the Browns draft him, you're gonna see that. I think that's a waste of a pick. We don't draft wide receivers well. We don't have wide receivers with big games. You have an Amari Cooper splash in the bucket once in a while.
Right.
Who's throwing to him? A defensive back, unless you put him at DB. You trade Newsome and
GTR.
Oh my gosh, DTR probably would.
I did that to fire you guys up. But look, GTR. I mean, I do think I think Sanders is the best of the bunch. Milroe played really bad. I don't know how you could support Milroe, and I love Milroe.
No,
he played bad. Look, I'm taking a step back. That was a poorly played game. Cam Ward, I took a step back after he beat Duke. I saw the Duke game. I didn't think he played well, and I thought that Duke game. I saw some things that bothered me. So I'm like, okay, so I'm taking a step back. He didn't impress me with Georgia Tech either. He lost that game. So I think Sanders is the one. Again, I've said this many times in Chalk Talk. I don't love him. I like him. Mm-hmm. I do love Hunter. Hunter's a stud. He's a star. And he could be a really good wide receiver in this league. Really can. He can make plays.
Okay. To answer your question about 26 and winning eight or 9 games, Jeffrey, this is my opinion here. You look in these college quarterbacks who are running a pro-style offense, okay? Mm-hmm. And somebody that really is not a lot of people are talking about. who's running the pro style offense? Brian Kelly in LSU. So
Right.
that would be Garrett Nussmeier. The kid at Old Jackson Dart. Okay. So just off the top of my head, there's a couple of names, and I know you're shaking your head, but they're not going to go in the first round.
Correct.
So if you take a flyer on one of these kids that's running a pro style offense, in my opinion, they're leaps and bounds ahead of some of these other guys. If you take a third or fourth round pick on one of those guys, you may find you may get lucky there.
So you're saying Brock Purdy type stuff?
Correct.
Like,
That's what popped into my head.
Absolutely.
Not crazy. It's worked out.
Is there some off chance that like a 5th or 6th round selection on like Will Howard could prove to be fruitful, or not at all? Like a Brock Purdy. That's who I was thinking of.
Good college quarterback. No pro. I'm sorry.
Doesn't translate.
No.
Yeah.
I don't see it at all. And this guy goes crazy after Howard. I think he's I'm here. He's a good college quarterback, not great. He will never lift the Buckeyes to a championship.
His decision making, I don't think he'll ever be a good NFL quarterback. His decision making.
He doesn't have it.
He just doesn't have it.
Yeah, it doesn't have. I was really waiting for that moment against IU. He said he just can't. How in a game like that against Indiana, how in the hell does Smith not get the ball?
Yeah,
Smith doesn't even get the ball in that game.
If I would have been blowing, if Curtis Rourke would have had a good game, I would have been saying he could have been Brock Purdy. But Curtis Rourke didn't, because Indiana, which of course has had a great year, and then they ran into a buzzsaw.
They did.
They came into reality, boys. But Curtis Rourke could have been a guy that could have been a Brock Purdy, but obviously when they played the big boys, see what happens. But this is where, not DePodesta, but this is where you get guys like the 49ers or the Chiefs that have good scouting departments, and they're smart, and they find, because they're there. They are there.
Yep.
Boys, they are there. And maybe I'm wrong with Garrett Nussmeier or Jackson Dart. You find a kid that's played 3 or 4 years in college, that understands, could read defense, and is smart. And I don't know if they take the Wonderlic test anymore, if they sit the kids down and make them read a defense.
They should. I don't want to carry water for Andrew Berry, because we're going to talk about him and just the rest of the regime shortly here. But I mean, in all fairness, unless I've completely had my brain wiped, that was kind of what the DTR pick was. Didn't he play like 5 seasons at UCLA?
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be a high IQ guy. I get it. I hear your philosophy, but it's like this guy sat behind, and one of my co-hosts, Justin, he's a big proponent of, you should never draft a guy regardless. He'll take this all the way down to the first overall pick, even though he knows it's not realistic. You should never draft a guy and start him. If you want to be a competent organization, wherever you take somebody, you should draft them. A bridge quarterback, cheap guy that he could learn under, a veteran for 1 or 2 years, and he comes out and plays the game at a high level. You have to have a lot of intangibles and tangibles to be able to do that. You have to be a well-run franchise. You have to draft somebody who's willing to do that. You have to be, good scouting department, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite end of that opinion. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are very successful that play rookies all the time.
It's very difficult to argue totally against that methodology, though.
Yeah, look at CJ Stroud this year, sophomore regression. Real quick, Jeffrey.
That's an interesting
but he has a playoff win, though. That's a tough argument.
But Jeffrey, let me say this. In DTR's defense, who was his mentor? I bet you Deshaun Watson wasn't saying a word in that. He wasn't in that quarterback room. Now, he did have Josh Dobbs, the rocket scientist. He had Flacco for a little bit.
Yeah, he sat behind Winston for 10, 11 games here.
Okay, so he has had that. But I guarantee you, Deshaun Watson was probably not even speaking to the kid. Carry on, boys.
It's kind of tough to see. It's a little bit disheartening that DTR doesn't have more experience and more more football IQ, because he's been tutelaged under some of the best offensive minds in the sport, whether it be Alex Van Pelt or Ken Dorsey. So it's a little bit sad that
the best offensive minds in the sport. I don't. What? I love
Billman can't read sarcasm. I found out Billman can't read the sarcasm.
My bad. By the way, I'm a beautiful, handsome man. So I get it.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Well played. I got one more quarterback.
Go.
Up here in the corner. And for you, Jeffrey, too.
Yeah, of course.
How about Gabriel, kid out of Oregon?
Yeah, I was thinking about him while we were speaking.
Not bad. He's on my brain.
What about Patrick Mahomes Jr.? Too corny.
Yeah, well.
Rayola.
Yes. Okay, here's the thing, Andy. Gabriel, the beginning of the year, him and Dan Lanning, I hated with a passion. And I hated him so much, I'm starting to like him. But how does he throw the football?
Left-handed.
Right.
That's my thing, too.
I think that's the problem. Although Tua has successfully done it, Paul McDonald has successfully done it. But I do like, as much as I can't stand, you know what I liked about Oregon? They had 75 cool uniforms, and I hated the coach and I hated the quarterback. But as much as I hate him, I'm starting to really like him, and I hate that I like him.
I agree. Here's why I'm going on it. I have been taken aback, and I hate to say this, I was really wrong about Nix. And Nix came similarly through the wickets as Gabriel's doing. And I do kind of like what I'm seeing from Nix. And Gabriel's got a kind of a similar path. And I'm seeing a similar kind of quarterback.
Where did he come? Where else was he? He wasn't from. Didn't he transfer?
Auburn to Oregon. Gabriel, Oklahoma,
Oregon. Yeah.
Oklahoma.
And you're just starting to see a similar pattern. And I again, it's annoying. It's the fucking Broncos. Nix looks good. It is so. Yeah. But he looks good. Like, you got to admit, like, kid looks good. Looks like
anytime it's an AFC team, you're just like, what the? Like, you're just like, what the hell?
Well, right. Well, good news is I watched the stupid fucking game as the Patriots. May look terrible. Oh my God, he looked awful.
Yeah,
woo! Awful.
Well, but you and I disagree, Billman. You think that Jar of Mayo is going to be a hell of a coach? I think that guy's lost. I think that guy's lost.
I said I knew
people
who work for the Patriots who's got a lot of support. I don't support Mayo. I'm a mustard guy, okay? And I'm not rooting against Mayo either. But
I think he's lost.
But let me just say, geez, I say one time a Patriots guy likes him. I love Jar Mayo. Look, they look terrible. And by the way,
his offensive coordinator?
Alex Van Pelt.
The high IQ, the high IQ football genius.
Old friend.
Standing there with the Denny's menu, basically, like the rest of his career. All right, I want to do rapid fire. Let's
carry on. We're getting bogged down.
Let's do some rapid fire here. I'm gonna say someone's name, and I'm gonna say, should they be terminated at the end of the season? You guys just tell me yes or no. We'll divulge. All right, Robert. Let's start with you. D. Podesta terminated, yes or no?
Yes.
Andy?
Off with his head.
Okay, that's consensus. I'm not going to stop for the consensus too much. Andrew Berry, terminated, yes or no?
The 2023 draft is not going well. The 2022 draft is kind of meh. I think Andrew Berry's a nice man. I think it's probably time to move on.
Rob?
If D. Podesta's gone, I'll say no.
That's interesting. You don't think they're a package, though? You don't think they're both going to be gone? Why wouldn't you fire both?
Probably. They probably are, but
I actually think D. Podesta holds a much different ring than anybody. I actually think D. Podesta will get paid to do something else. I think D. Podesta is an employee. I think the other guys are more for hire.
I'm gonna make this clear. I think everybody I mention here outside of one person is going to keep their job, and I'll tell you who it is. But I think Barry and D. Podesta will be keeping their job. Let's keep it moving.
Okay.
Kevin Stefanski terminated.
I sure hope so. Yeah, I hope he stays. That's me.
To be determined. I can't answer to this.
You think if we're like 1-5, they'll fire him, Andy?
Gone. Yeah. Gone.
I think he's safe. I think he'll be back and he's safe.
We'll see.
Jim Schwartz terminated, yes or no?
I would keep him.
Keep him?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think his defense is good. I do.
I would keep him as much as he had to change his game plan this year when he knew his offense was as bad as they were. If you look at the numbers, Jeffrey, he's blitzed more than he's ever had because they had to get the football.
Overcompensating.
Who's the kid that you guys, Emerson, who isn't a bad player, but he's had a terrible year.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get off subject, but him and Stefanski, well, he loves linebackers, but the front office doesn't like linebackers. You, Jeffrey, yourself, they lose Taki, and nobody says anything about it. We don't replace him. Anthony Walker's playing somewhere else. We don't replace them.
Yep.
Those are things.
Good.
I mean, they replaced them, but that honestly, if you're talking about, and this people are gonna say, oh, this is so niche and this is like so random, and you know, the NFL organizations and franchises don't run like this. If you want something at the top of the list for me for terminating Andrew Berry, it would be that overhaul of that position group.
He doesn't like linebackers. Who doesn't value linebackers? Him or DePodesta?
Well, it doesn't matter. But here's the thing. I'm not going to come on and stand on the soapbox and say, look, Anthony Walker was an all-pro linebacker. Taki was an all-pro linebacker. They were not. But why would you prioritize turnover in one of the position groups that had the most experience, that were involved in if not both playoff appearances? Why would you get rid of those guys out of all the people on the roster?
And they weren't making big money.
You don't want to trade anyone. You don't want to sign people, do this, do that. That's fine. It's not like that'd be like the same thing. Oh, well, we're going to turn around and get rid of Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller. I understand as far as the talent discrepancy, it's different. But as far as the experience and what these guys have done with the franchise in the past couple of years, I never understood that. And I heard I like Jordan Hicks. I think Jordan Hicks has had a good year when he's been healthy. JOK, unfortunate circumstances there. He's a stud, but you can't even name anyone else in that room besides those guys. Devin Bush running around, and he actually played pretty good on Thursday.
I actually think he's played well. I actually don't know if I agree with your linebackers. That's what to be truthful.
Devin Bush has not had a productive season.
Devin Bush has started to play better, but come on. Our linebackers have been downgraded.
Our defense is hope Myles Garrett gets home and you don't have blown coverage.
See, that's my thing. I think the linebackers, I don't agree. I think linebackers are improved this year. I think their defensive tackles are terrible. Where's Mike Hall? He's in rookie Siberia. He stinks. Kamara makes a play every once in a while. Ogbo, I just haven't seen enough.
Shelby Harris is okay.
He's okay. I mean, he's okay.
Tomlinson is pretty good.
Yeah.
We need some guys who can rush a quarterback. Like, we need a guy that can really help out Myles Garrett in that situation. I need Mike Hall to step the fuck up.
Well, we've whiffed on a few of those guys. Didn't we draft a kid pretty high that we cut? What was the hell was his name?
Oh, Baylor.
Siaka Ika.
Yeah, and the kid. What about the kid from? Is that the one
He's
from
at
Ohio
the
State?
Fairview Tavern on Thursdays. Just saying.
No, yes. Yeah.
No, Mike Hall's from Ohio State, is he not?
Mike Hall.
No,
now, is he in jail? Is he in jail?
Another good character identification, process from Barry. I mean, here's the thing, and that's another knock on Barry.
That's my point about Barry.
If you want to get into the Barry hate session, Mike Hall, Deshaun Watson,
David Bell, Anthony Schwartz.
Yep.
Oh, I'm just talking about Barry drafting people who are of low character. I'm not even talking about people's play on the field.
Oh, that's another fun one too.
Bad locker room, like OBJ.
I want to bring it around. And actually, I'm going to start from the beginning. So you asked, what's 2025?
Yep.
We need a new attitude. I don't want Watson stink. I don't want my wife, who's a neutral fan, who actually loves the Guardians, loves the Caps, be like, I don't want to cheer for Watson. It's like, I don't want to deal with that anymore.
Yes.
Cut him a check. And if we go into it takes a bruising in 25.
Get it out of the headlines. You'll have headlines for 2 days about how what a terrible, everyone will get their think pieces out and
worst trade ever.
Yeah, worst trade ever.
Fine.
It's
we
not
agree.
even. And you know what pisses me off too? It's not even the worst trade in the last 5 years of the NFL. And I'm not going to go to bat for this guy, but it's not even worse than the Denver trading for Russell Wilson. People don't want to talk about it because all the off the field stuff, but it is absolutely not. Russell Wilson trade worse. What was I saying here? Oh, what?
We were rapid fire. Who else?
Andy, though, hold on. The team's attitude really should be watching your guys' chalk talk before the Steelers game about what you were saying about Myles Garrett, about how he needs to show up. That should be the whole philosophy of the team.
And by the way, that's another thing. I'm glad you brought him up. We had the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And in
Correct.
New York, back in the 80s, there's this guy named LT, and he was flashed. This organization needs to start flashing Flash Gordon. He's the owner of the Cavs, too. So he's part of the city.
Yep.
We don't even talk about him.
Yep.
Guy's
And it's
one of the best players in the league.
and
Don't
honestly,
capitalize.
and I get it.
We do nothing to support that guy. I love you, Myles Garrett.
I'm the first person to say team over individual, always have been, always will be. But the sheer fall from grace of this season needs to be studied, because not only do you have the reigning defensive player of the year, you had the comeback player of the year last year.
Correct.
He's not on the roster. However you may feel about that, if you think that was a stupid decision, it may have well been. You have the coach of the year, his second time, and you have the assistant coach of the year in Schwartz. So it's like, wow, how do you go from cleaning up? The NFL awards was basically the Browns winning everything, and then they announced Walter Payton Man of the Year, and then we all went home. And now it's like, oh, all I hear about is, it's Jameis in the headlines now because it's a good story, and it's always a good story with a backup in Cleveland. And it's before that, it's Watson. It's Watson for 6-7 weeks, which is typical.
Yeah, that's why I'm tired of this. Like, what's going to be on? It's easy. It fucking goes. What are we discussing?
But do you think the Haslams are going to do that?
You know what? If we aren't Jeffrey, then it's going to be a lot of like, well, what's 2026 look like? Because that's where we're going. And I want to say this too. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on one more tangent.
Love it.
Tired of talking about the draft. It's not Super Bowl. Doesn't mean you get good players. Win games, please. Tired of this. We're going to lose our draft pick status. We can't draft. We suck at it, okay? Win the fucking game. Then figure it out. Don't talk about like we don't have the top 5 pick. We don't do anything well in the draft. When's the draft pick? It's like 1 year, I'll never forget. We drafted Brady Quinn and Joe Thomas. Now, Joe Thomas worked out. How did Brady Quinn do?
Slop.
He's on Fox. So, I mean, that's what's like. He's still having a great. And by the way, he's a nice.
These guys turn into analysts quicker than they turn into good players when we draft them. It's like, holy crap. Like Robert Griffin III. Oh, my gosh. There's another one.
But there's a lot here. And that's why I do want to bring up this name again. Chubb's a big discussion. He means a lot to me. I think he means a lot to
incentives, but give him incentives.
Whatever it takes. Like, you got to bring him back. But that's why it's like I want to be realistic. For what I want to have done for Watson, okay, you got to make some choices. Can't bring back Antonio and Teller. Probably one of them's going to have to be traded or something. You just can't bring back both. It's not affordable. Now with all this money, it's going to be owed. So what do you do there? I don't know.
Move Jed. Move Jed.
Who? Who's he? I don't even. Who?
Let's give him a look.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in offensive line meetings. I would love it.
Well, by the way, let's bring this up. That's an Andrew Berry pick. That was a guy who said, you know what? We're going to draft a right tackle, make him left tackle.
And skip on Tristan Wirfs. But Andy, I get it. The draft. I get it. But Andrew Berry, I mean, he isn't a total. I don't think the draft is his main concern for him being fireable, though.
I don't think it's good.
I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's. As far as the Browns drafting track record, it's pretty good.
But he's made decent moves. He's made decent trades.
Now that I agree with.
Other than Deshaun, I mean,
what about the Elijah Moore trade?
Well, he's great.
What about the Judy trade? Jury's out. But
I was gonna say that's working out. I mean, Elijah Moore. I'll be honest, that was bad. I don't even know what to say. I mean, we're certainly draft picks, but I want to go back to something. The Anthony Schwartz draft pick. Did you watch that kid play? He was
couldn't catch.
Awful.
But on the same turn.
But wait a minute. He was a speed demon. Blah 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 blah.
Very fast.
He was very fast.
Very fast.
See, but is that a Barry thing, or is that just an organizational failure thing? Like, if the Chiefs draft Anthony Schwartz, is he like a Hall of Famer?
Well, then let's ring the bell on DePodesta.
Well, I'm fine with ringing the bell on DePodesta, but in the same breath of saying Anthony Schwartz, you literally got, and I know he optically he doesn't look good all the time, but you in the same draft he drafted Greg Newsome, and then he traded up and he got JOK in the second round. That as far as I'm concerned, that's a home run draft for a lot of GMs in the league, plus other people that were involved in that draft. He got JOK in the second round. I mean, that's his best talking point to
Before
me.
I bite on the hook, what are your opinion on Newsome?
Newsome. So here's my thing. This defense should never come out of man. But they do. Newsome in a zone. All of them
destroyed.
All of them in a zone. We don't have enough high IQ thinkers on, and that's not a rip on people. It's just sometimes you either get it or you don't.
But they get lost. Right?
And
what happens in zone?
Who's the vocal leader back there, Uncle? Who's the vocal leader? Denzel
it's not Denzel.
Denzel is the lead by example guy. Thornhill, no, he's not a vocal leader.
Rodney
Newsome,
McLeod?
yeah, maybe.
He's retiring.
Rodney?
I mean, sometimes the back end of this defense looks good, and sometimes it's like, I'm thinking of prior defenses, in 2020 with like Carl Joseph being the captain back there, and sometimes that defense looked better somehow.
My whole point is, I think we have players that are okay to good, not good to great. Like Newsome's okay to good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Good. He's not good to great.
But
that's a good
before this season started, I was a Newsome fan. But this season, he is just. I mean, he's had. Is it just a one-off bad season, or is he a bad player? I mean,
I thought he was bad last season. I thought the Houston game, I was going to throw my TV.
I mean,
that playoff game, he was dreadful.
Is he ever touched elite? No, but the recency bias is holding strong here because I could make a very serviceable argument that we had the best defensive back room in the NFL last year.
Well, that's different, and I can't disagree there.
We had the best defense in the league last year. Undisputed, undebatable.
Wow.
So the regression. Well, what do we give? Joe Flacco gave up 14 points with 2 interceptions in a playoff game. Yeah, they scored 40. What do you want them to do? They're on the field the whole game.
I think I don't know.
Imagine with this defense if you had a competent quarterback all year that just moved the ball and matriculated, and we weren't playing every other 2 minutes. The defense wasn't out there.
Now that's the big thing. If we were scoring points, how many games would we have won? Our defense would have been a lot different this year if we were on the field and if we were scoring more points. The defense would have been – the defense was on the field. Like I said, Jim Schwartz was trying to score touchdowns. Defense isn't trying to score touchdowns, damn it. So he was blitzing. He was doing shit that he normally doesn't do. But all of that being said, why can't we play zone? I'm confused. What happens? They get lost, Jeff?
And by the way, it's not just a Joe Woods thing now.
Missed assignments. They don't know who to pick up.
They get burned on man.
I mean, they get burned by it's not like we have it's not like we're playing quarterbacks who just pick apart defenses either. Like I'm seeing them get burned by average quarterbacks in zone because they don't know how to pass off the offensive players.
Yeah. Here's the one thing that concerns me about the secondary. Let's see where they rank. By the way, the Browns are in the top 10 in sacks this year. So,
Miles is either second or third. I think he's second.
No, I knew that. But as a team, they're much more higher in sacks than what I thought. They took a big jump, which is good. Okay, so let's see if you guys can guess. How many interceptions do the Browns have this year?
Only a couple. 3?
5.
2. And they're both what's his face? No, one of those might have been a fumble. Just McLeod might have both of them.
I think he does.
I don't know. Denzel has one. Denzel picked one. Denzel picked one off 2 weeks in the Saints game, which meant nothing.
I just think, good point about that comment. I just think the Browns, I actually thought last year, Jeffrey, the Browns had a top 10 defense. I didn't think it was a top defense.
Yeah, but our defense was great at home. And remember, on the road, they gave up a ton of points.
It was significantly different. Yeah.
They were.
For some reason, right? It was crazy.
But, depends how you're ranking it, because statistically, I think a lot of our statistical categories, yards per game, first downs given up, third down percentage, I think we were all first in a lot of those, or we were for a majority of the year. Which and that's my thing. How many negative plays, how many plays for loss has this defense generated this year? That's my big thing. I feel like we're always behind the sticks. I feel like the other offense is always playing 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 3rd and short.
Yeah. Absolutely.
3rd and short. Let me transition real quick here. I want to go 10 more minutes. We got a hard out here in about 15, but this is what I think we've been kind of waiting for on this roundtable discussion, which has been a blast so far. I want to talk about Stefanski being the leader of the team moving forward into the future. Me and Mr. Billman got into a little bit of a back and forth during the Steelers game.
Oh, we're gonna get into this. Oh, cool.
About the Stefanski decision making. Now, here's my premise. Here's my thing. For me, it's all right. Everybody, the pundits, the national media, the analysts, the people who are respected, the people whose voice hold nothing, they all have wanted him to give up play calling. Since he came here, the head coach can't do play calling and run the team and do this. That's why you have an offensive coordinator. And that's why we've gone through a Van Pelt and we've gone through now a Ken Dorsey experiment. But as soon as he gives up play calling, I feel like that opened up the can of worms of, that came all the other criticism and all the other talking points about how he needs to be more involved with this. He's the leader of the team. He should be making this decision as far as the play calling, even though he gave that up. So that's what I just want to talk about, Mr. Billman. What do you want to see from Kevin Stefanski these last 6 games, just in general?
Want to fucking win. Look, like I don't want to make it too complicated. And honestly, I think he has every right to tell Ken Dorsey, who I do not think is a good offensive coordinator. I really don't. He has a right to say, you know what, that play sucks. Call another one. I don't want that play.
But what point of the game are you okay with that interjection?
From kickoff to gun.
So at any point at all.
Any moment.
You're the head coach. But okay, here's what, excuse me, real quick, fellas. Jeffrey, I think that the head coach, and I've said this on everyone's show, the head coach, your biggest job is you have to be a leader of men, and you have to be a leader of women, whatever sport you're coaching. So Stefanski's job, now that Dorsey's calling plays, here's what I feel. I feel before the game starts, they should, if this were me, they should have 5 2-point conversion plays.
Correct.
Okay. They should have 5, 4th and whatever plays.
Yep.
And if I'm the head coach, this is just me. If I'm the head coach and Dorsey's calling red right 88, and I say, wait a minute, that's a stupid play. Maybe I don't say, I don't embarrass them, but I say, whatever they say there to audible. And I, as the head coach, I have the autonomy as the head coach to do that. Now, the coordinator shouldn't get offended because ultimately, Jeffrey, at the end of the day, I'm the one getting fired.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if that's how it goes, but if I'm the one, if I'm the head coach.
Dorsey will be fired before Stefanski, though.
I don't know.
I think you'll see Dorsey get fired this offseason.
Dorsey will be fired before Stefanski, but I think here's okay. So here's the thing: that they have a 2-point conversion to win the game or lose the game, and it's a bum ass play. They're going to be talking to Stefanski about it, even though Dorsey's the offensive coordinator.
True.
They're going to talk to Stefanski.
That's right.
The idea of Stefanski not calling the plays to me is fine. He's not a defensive guy. Here's what I'm telling Schwartz. I don't know defenses, but if we're down by 3 with 4 minutes left, I'm talking into Schwartz's ear. We need this ball back. Send the house.
Same play.
I don't know.
Bubba Ventrone.
What the hell you're calling.
Don't let that kid go.
Don't even talk. We missed that in your speech.
Oh yeah. By the way,
Bubba Ventrone.
I was getting to him. He's the only one who I think is going to get fired. Him and Dorsey.
He better go, Bubba. Do you guys remember when they were talking about him being the head coach someday? Head coach for my kids' tackle football team in Westlake, Ohio. Go ahead. You two carry on, and I'll listen.
All right, I'll give you guys this. You guys are at least logically consistent. I don't because I don't know a lot of people in this fan base. I don't think that there's a lot of people in this fan base where if Schwartz dialed something up, they would want Stefanski going over there and overruling it.
He has a right to do it.
I'm not saying he doesn't have a right, but I'm just saying from a football acumen, I don't think that Kevin Stefanski is a better defensive mind than Jim Schwartz.
And then I think maybe he shouldn't be the head coach then. There's a certain points in the game.
Schwartz, but Jeffrey, I'm not saying that he's going to call the defense. I'm just saying
Right.
he's telling Schwartz.
But you guys are cool with him overruling plays.
But I'm saying it's we're down by 3. We got one timeout left. I'm saying, Jimmy, you got to send the house here. I don't want you to go zone coverage, cover 3. I'm not telling him what kind of defense. I'm just telling him you got to put pressure on the quarterback.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
We need the ball back. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me
Go ahead, Andy.
Let me chime in. You know, B&B, Belichick and Parcells talk about this a lot. Bill and Bill, right? They said, you know, in certain plays, I would tell the offensive coordinator, I want this play called like this. You call whatever running play you want. I want it like this. That's what leaders do.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's certain spots that have cost people jobs recently. It's going to cost a guy's job in Chicago, where you go defense coordinator and be like, hey, are we prepared on defense here? Are we ready to go? Like, it doesn't look like we're ready. And that's why I actually think in a small way, which is going to cause a tangent to my corner, the guy to the left. But it's like, hey, like, you know, in a small way, it's like Ryan Day doing what I'm seeing being done. I'm actually seeing improvement to the defensive line. And he's mentioned he's put time in the defensive line. And I actually think that's being shown in games. Stefanski needs to put some time in the special teams. Needs to be serious, saying like, hey, this isn't working out. Like, what are we doing here? And that's what used to happen today. I've got one more point. And I don't know why this has gone away in pro sports. I'm tired of it in the NFL. I don't mind the days when Elway, Marino, and Kosar would call their own plays. I wouldn't mind seeing that back in the NFL. And in fact, I think that would be a good thing. Because the quarterback, and by the way, that is a conversation too. You got to be at a certain level. Like
they're not smart enough. These kids aren't smart enough. Maybe Mahomes. Maybe there's very few guys that are smart enough.
I think some of them are. And I'll tell you why I feel this way. I just miss in certain games where a quarterback's got a real rhythm.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, it was on the opposite side. I thought the Steelers did a shitty job with some of these play calls and taking Fields in the games. Like, oof.
Oh, Arthur Smith, what a buffoon.
Yeah, and it's like, again, like those kind of things. But anyways, I'm going on tangents. But that's the reason why, Jeffrey, I believe in that. Because, and I will go back to what Rob said. The end of the day, you're the boss. People are going to be like, hey, what happened on that cover 0 when you gave that touchdown? Hey, what happened here when we called run on 4th and 2? It's clear you needed to pass. Like that goes to the coach. It never goes to the coordinator. And by the way, the owner's going to be the first one to go down there and talk to you.
Right, because, Jeffrey, here's what's going to happen. Jimmy Haslam isn't going to call Ken Dorsey into his office.
That's right.
He's going to call Stefanski.
But
you
the scapegoating in the NFL, though, it runs deep. You know it does. You know they'll scapegoat a coordinator, and then they'll go to the head coach if that's how they want to do it. But here's my thing, and I agree, and it's a great point about people calling their own plays. I can't stand the offensive coordinator up in the box.
I didn't see some of these quarterbacks.
I hate that.
I would like Mahomes call his own plays. I mean, geez, that'd be. Again, there's only a few of them can.
You don't think? Wait a minute, Andy. You don't think that some of those plays?
I'd rather have Andy Reid on the helm there than Mahomes, I think Mahomes is a legend, obviously.
By the way, Reid's a really good play caller, so that's a big debate. You're right.
You don't think that at least 20% of the time that Mahomes and Kelsey are out there playing backyard ball and yes, they're running around and he's throwing him that football.
Improv. It's a lot of improv. The best offensives in the league have improv. Here's what I'll say before we wrap up here.
Carry on.
Stefanski should have never gave up play calling. I think he either got the knock on his door from Haslam to say, hey, we're going to give it to Dorsey so then we could fire him and we're not going to fire you, one, or he just got so caught up in the noise and he just didn't want to be responsible anymore for it. So he just passed it away because that's what everybody was calling on. He's only a 2-time head coach of the year winner with 2 playoff appearances when he's the guy calling the plays for us. And he just gives it up halfway through the year. It's not like it was some calculated thing.
I hear you.
Here's my final pushback. Robert, you mentioned, all right, couple 2-point conversions. Here's our 4th down play. If we're at the 48 and there's this much time left on the clock and we're down this many amount of points, we're going to go for it. We're going to punt. That is fine. I don't know how, even though he is the leader, if you want to argue it should be after a timeout, if it should be into a timeout, it's just not plausible for him when the play clock starts and Dorsey goes on a 10-second rant to call it the play, and then the mic kicks off. I don't know what you want Stefanski to do, run down the field and call a timeout and say, hey, that play sucked. You hear the play once.
different.
But you can't. I don't think that you can. And I know I'm not saying you're grouping this all together, but there's a lot of people who are saying, if there's Stefanski haters, when the offense does good, they go, look, Stefanski, he took his hand out of the cookie jar. Ken Dorsey's cooking right here. It's not more. It's less about Dorsey. It's less about Dorsey. It's more about hating Stefanski. But it's like, all right, if we lose, then it's like, wow, this offensive game plan from Stefanski was terrible. I just don't like the flip flopping of the matter. That's all I'll say.
To fans that think that Ken Dorsey's cooking, here's the way I'd put it. Would you put him as your head coach?
No. I mean, he had pretty good play calls last week in a win against one of the best teams in the league. I mean, I'm not saying he's a consistent actor. He's not a consistent actor.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, he stinks. Guy stinks.
Or was Stefanski in his ear every play? We don't even know.
Whose offense do you think that we're running?
Last week was Stefanski.
Yeah,
I think Go ahead.
I think we are implementing Stefanski's offense now that number 4 is out of the way. We are Dorsey may be calling the plays, but I think more and more Stefanski is putting his offense. Now that especially Chubb is back in the fold, Stefanski is putting his and like so you guys said,
the first 8 weeks you think was a different offense.
Oh, absolutely! Because the first
it was a mess. I will say
they were trying. Listen,
I might agree.
Were trying to cater to that quarterback. The quarterback, and listen, no matter what you guys think, that quarterback wasn't smart enough to call an audible. He wasn't smart enough to adjust. That quarterback could not go under center.
100%.
So that quarterback wasn't smart enough. Now you have a guy that could read it deep. Boys, go back. Let's watch the film.
No.
The first quarterback.
Yeah, why would we want to do that?
I don't want to.
His eyes
I don't
were
want to
down.
watch the Cowboys week 1.
Like this.
His
I
eyes
would be
were
like
down.
with a beard doing shots.
He wasn't even looking at the receivers that were wide
he's
open.
Awful. He stinks.
Okay, so it didn't matter. The first 8 weeks, Jeffrey, it didn't matter if we were running Stefanski's offense, Dorsey's offense, my offense, the single wing offense, or Andy Reid's offense. We weren't moving the football because the quarterback couldn't look down the field. So now Dorsey may be calling the plays, but I feel it's more and more Stefanski's influence. That's the way I see it. Let Dorsey call the plays. Stefanski should be in there working with Ventrone more. Stefanski, what I saw Thursday night
should be firing Ventrone.
What I saw Thursday night was a team that did not mail it in. They weren't giving up, and let's hope to God that we could get that same energy and keep that moving forward.
By the way,
and have that unwavering faith. Go ahead.
The Browns are second to last in kickoff coverage in the NFL.
Embarrassing.
I mean,
embarrassing. Criminal.
The only team that's worse is the Squealers.
That's interesting. At least being down there isn't indicative of having a bad record. Well,
I guess not.
Gentlemen, beautiful roundtable discussion. I had a lot of fun. I foresee us doing this again in the future. If you made it here this long in the upload with us, just to remind you, Robert right next to me, Mr. Andy Billman down below.
Hey, we're not interesting.
No, it's just like I don't think people could take almost an hour talking about all these things that we've talked about. I mean, we go on these diatribes about D Podesta and what the Haslams are ordering for lunch. What does Jimmy get in his Chipotle bowl, chicken or steak?